Oh, I was hoping you would face plant. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Play the Hits. How you doing, Max?
I'm pretty good tonight. How about yourself?
Not too shabby. Yeah, we left off at this subway repair segment here, which is really just to get you used to his, like, some of the puzzle uses of his venom powers. So.
By the way, everything's looking good. Oh.
Everything's looking good?
Yep.
I have been working out a little bit more.
I can use that turntable.
We all have our aspirations.
Yeah.
Pandemic has not been kind to my body or my muscles.
I fucking do this thing, though. Like, I do this thing, right, where like, I take my diet and exercise real seriously. I do great. I mean, I never really slow down on my exercise. Like, my weight problems are all food related. Like, I just like bad for me food. A lot.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'll work out for like a month and like really watch what I'm eating, and then I'll get like, you know, oh yeah, I've lost 5 pounds. I'm gonna reward myself with like a weekend full of shit.
Yeah. I've earned this. Fuck it.
I've earned this. You've earned nothing.
Yeah, and literally like one meal would be fine. It's crazy how we so easily turn that into a few things, and it really seems like, hey, this isn't too bad. It's okay, and then you start avoiding the scale because a part of you knows it's not okay.
And then by the time you look at it again, you've undone
it's
all
just
the progress.
Like, oh fuck. One step forward and 3 very fat steps back.
Right.
Oh yeah, I gotta get back to a gym. I think I'm getting there. I'm getting ready. I actually went to the arcade for the first time in like 14 months. Last week, or maybe it was the week before.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, it was played some Pump It Up, which I'm definitely rusty as all hell, but yeah, it was that was nice because it was the first time I'm starting to feel a lot more comfortable being out.
That can't be good for the train.
Need to get it to stay down.
What is it you're doing right now?
Just lining up the trains on the track, and then I've got to charge them.
Now they need power.
Come on, there we go.
They busted the controls here too.
So Max, would you say your body is ready?
Yeah, my body's definitely
Is
ready.
that still a meme?
Speaking of which, yeah, sort of. Reggie will always be a meme.
Do kids today
Apparently
even know Reggie? I feel like Doug Bowser doesn't have like the same, you know, force of personality as Reggie had.
No, which is interesting because Reggie doesn't have
the perfect
too
name.
much of a personality, but no, he doesn't have a great name like Doug Bowser.
Did anything change on your end?
Oh, Uncle Aaron.
Just lit up like Christmas. Good job, kid.
Glad to help. If anything else comes up, just post a note.
Yeah, Uncle Aaron. What could go wrong there?
What? Yeah. Seems like a stand-up guy.
For me?
It's the least I can do for a guy who just saved my job.
Cool.
Okay.
I'll head back
I don't even remember what's happening.
All right,
now.
check it.
Damn.
I was gonna save New York. Oh, come on.
Just landed in Europe. How's day one of solo Spider-Manning?
Pretty good.
I'm going to humiliate
faceplant?
myself.
You have a plan?
Just you wait.
Sort of making it up as I go.
The mark of a true Spider-Man. If you need me, I'm a phone call away.
Just gotta get even higher.
Cross-Atlantic flight, but it's fine.
Sure, man. Oh,
There it is. But then I got high.
is awesome.
I was gonna fight the bad guys, but then I got high. And now I'm not Spider-Man anymore, and I know why. Why, Max? Because I got high.
Oh
Because I
god.
got high. Because I got high.
Yeah, it's interesting that they
Now that the whole city's counting
call
on
him
me,
Spider-Man, but I guess that totally makes sense. Like,
Yeah, so
For
that's kind of
some-
the cool thing about this. Like, just like in the comics where, you know, I mean, granted, Peter is dead, and so there is no other Spider-Man. But here, like, he doesn't, you know, give him, like, a nickname. He's just Spider-Man as well.
Spider-Man.
Not like Black Spider-Man. No, you know what I mean. Like black costume Spider. Oh, God.
It was like, could you please stop calling me that? No.
Sure, Black Spider-Man. No. Pete, you gotta stop. I know what you mean, but you gotta stop. Oh, God. Like Spider-Man learns an important lesson about like race relations. Oh god.
Knowledge is power, kids.
The more you know.
Yeah, he
Anyway.
definitely. Just
But yeah,
taking
no,
a
they
good
just call
look
him
at this
Spider-Man.
now. His style is definitely different, swinging around.
Yeah, I love it.
I dig it. Yeah.
You can do
Oh,
like they
man.
added a lot more tricks that you can do midair too, which keep things nice and interesting.
I have to say, like, for being cross-platform, like, which I get it, it makes sense. There's so many PS4s out there. This, I don't feel like this game is like, oh my god. Like, of course, there would have been differences if it was completely developed for PS5, but I can't be disappointed in the look of it at all. Like,
No, it
it's
is beautiful.
very pretty.
And
It is
you're
a pretty
even
game.
seeing it in 720p without, HDR and whatnot. I mean, it's far from optimal the way that you're viewing it, and
Yeah,
it still looks incredible.
Yeah. I really want to see it in person. I've seen like videos and stuff on 4K, and it's just but I definitely want to play it for myself.
Like,
and
I kind of want to have you
full
over
experience.
and just like not do a play the hits episode, just like play some PS5 games like in their perfect resolution on my LG TV, so that you can see like what the difference is generally between PS4 and PS5. Because like even with store displays, you know that they're only using like 1080p monitors to show them to customers and whatnot, if they're doing that at all.
And they're not always set up the right way.
No, like I've like calibrated mine, and I've got the Bose soundbar with surround speakers.
Oh,
so it's,
nice. That's awesome.
Whoops.
Yeah. I definitely need to up my sound game.
Yeah. So what the? Oh, these are cops. These are cops.
Okay.
I wasn't
We're
gonna run from
about
the
to get
cops.
really
but
political
then I
here.
got high. I was gonna pull right over, but then I got high. Oh shit. Okay, I'm not paying enough attention. And now I'm a paraplegic, and I know. Oh god, that parts of that song haven't aged well, have they?
I don't remember. Wait, is that a real part of the song?
Yeah. Now I'm a so it's Afroman from like what, maybe like 2000 or something like that. I think it was in Jay and Silent Bob, actually, is where I first heard that song.
I think so, yeah.
But anyways, one of the verses, no shit, is I wasn't gonna run from the cops, but then I got high, and now I'm a
I do remember
paraplegic.
that.
Yeah. And now I'm a paraplegic.
Yeah, you're right. That
and I know why.
definitely has
I
not
mean,
aged all that well.
well, but I mean, like, you have to remember that, like, even in the 90s, there was still like Rodney King, so people were talking about
There
this
was
shit.
LA, right? Yeah.
But there
Definitely.
there wasn't like a whole social justice movement activated around it. I thought I had to go a lot further to get that one than I did. There we go.
Last night you learned new forms getting
That had to hurt.
Then today you attacked the trains. Why?
Now it's just a fight.
Form? Steal it?
This is where I thrive. Okay, so I am now 3 episodes into the new Castlevania season, and I am deeply intrigued, and I plan to binge it this weekend.
Oh, nice. All right, cool. Yeah, let me know when you're done. I want to.
Yeah,
I'll talk about
I'm
it a
doing
bit.
that. Then I'm doing Watchmen, the series on HBO Max. Dude, by
That's
the way, like, I love some of the things that are on HBO Max. I'm basically though just like going to binge as much as I can this month and then drop it because the app sucks ass, dude.
Yes, it does.
Holy
yes,
shit!
It does.
Like half the time I can't get content to even load properly. I was stupid and I got it on the PS5 because I figured, well, geez, the PS5 is a 4K machine and it's got plenty of horsepower and whatnot. It should look great. No, if you're watching it on a console, it maxes out at 1080p. Which
wait,
first world problem. But
do you on the PS5?
Yep. Yep.
How the hell does that make
Also,
sense?
no Dolby Vision whatsoever. So
on any of the apps?
At least on the PS5. I don't know about
Okay.
Xbox. But check this out. Check this out. It gets even better.
He probably forgot.
So I was like, oh shit. Well, maybe there's a way I can jerry rig it so that I can watch it on my so most of my viewing content I just do straight from my LG Smart TV because it's nice and easy, and the LG is talking directly to the app instead of going through a console or a DVD player.
Yes. And most of the time they will be because LG makes it that way. Like, hey, we want them to not take
it's
this TV back.
Like, I don't have to think about it. It's automatically talking to my soundbar and giving me 5.1 surround. It's automatically doing Dolby Vision, so the colors are perfect. I never have to worry about it. Fucking HBO has an exclusive deal with Samsung, so the app is not on LG TVs.
That's horseshit.
It is horseshit, dude.
That
like,
sucks.
So HBO Max, like, as much as I and here's the other great part. I got it under the guise of doing the Friends reunion with Sarah, which I did, and it was really great. But I also was really pumped to watch Mortal Kombat and Godzilla vs. Kong, only to find out they removed those at the beginning of the month.
These movies they remove like after a month basically.
Well, which is fucking hilarious because I saw an ad today online that showed both of those. Like, get all the best flicks on HBO Max. Well, that's like pretty much false advertising.
It's like false advertising now, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, ugh.
that's like a Netflix ad showing The Office or something. Like,
right. Like I was kind of thinking, like, you know, okay, so I'm not willing to do both HBO Max and Netflix at the same time because at that point, why don't I have cable? Other than that, cable sucks now.
Yeah.
Because at that point, you're pretty much paying the same price anyway. So I was thinking doing one or the other and then just kind of transferring between them month by month if there's something I want to watch on either or.
Yeah.
But I'm
because it'll change every month as far as the movies and stuff.
Yeah. So for the time being, I'm totally just sticking with Netflix after I watch what I want to watch on HBO Max. I've because I didn't have to binge anything, I have watched both the Blade Runner movies. I hadn't seen the original since like the 90s, probably. So that was a nostalgic trip. And then I wanted to see 2049 for a while, and it was really good.
Oh, it's a great movie. I feel like it's just as good as the original.
Oh, absolutely. There are so few like sequels I can think of that were made like 20, 30 years later that are as good as the original, but that is
live up,
definitely one. Like,
they got the feel
what's his
down.
Name? Oh, yeah, they nailed it. Well, and the cool thing
like
was
the music and everything, they definitely got the feel.
Been wrapped up in my own stuff.
The
what were you saying?
There were two things that I want to say. They didn't do like the Alien thing where they go out of their way to make. It was kind of a smart call to make it set 30 years after the original, even though both are meant to be in like the future. Though it's kind of hilarious to see what 2019 was supposed to be like in the 80s.
Yeah, right.
But 2049, right? 30 years later. So they actually did like upgrade like the technology in the world in kind of a natural way. Like, it feels very futuristic. And it is set in like an alternate universe sort of thing. But like they have like wide screens and like holograms and like stuff. Like there was an excuse to use modern technology. And I appreciate that. Like, whereas like with Ridley Scott's Aliens, right? Like that, the look of that franchise is so iconic that unless they have like the boxy pixelated monitors and like the really heavy clunky machinery, it wouldn't feel like a proper Alien movie, you know?
Yeah. It's kind of like Star Wars, and I mean, even though Star Wars spans like decades as well,
right?
There's definitely like a feel. You can't just like upgrade the whole galaxy.
Like everything
or
kind of feels sort of junky unless it's like owned by a senator or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, which was kind of neat, like, because as much as I disliked the prequel trilogy overall, I had to give them credit. Like, it was kind of a more, like Obi-Wan said in the first movie, it was a more civilized age, right? So things actually looked a little nicer in the prequel trilogies. Whereas, in the original 70s ones, they look kind of all, I don't know, like
junky and
kind of junky because they were rebel force, so they were working with what
most
they had.
planets were
they had
either
to cobble
under the
together
thumb,
their stuff,
and back then most planets were united under like a bigger government, I guess you could say, and wouldn't be as poor,
right?
Like.
And so then by the time you hit The Force Awakens, like, it's better than in the Rebellion days, but you can tell like they're not all the way there yet. You know, like
Give me a hand.
the Senate isn't all the way rebuilt, and the First Order is bogging things down. So it's kind of a mix between the two, really.
Yeah. Did we get into this the last time? I know we talked a lot of Star Wars,
Yeah.
but the fact that they were thinking they were going to like redo a sequel trilogy and use
I think that was just a rumor.
It probably is, because I can't imagine. Like, first of all,
Disney wouldn't.
that
eat
would
crow
be
like
such
that.
Yeah, they wouldn't eat crow like that. Even though there'd probably be money to be made, like they wouldn't. That would be such a like. The optics matter, and that wouldn't look good at all. Like
No.
there was that whole rumor about like Palpatine's mirror or whatever it was called, and like this was just like a possibility. The whole thing trilogy with Rey and stuff, but.
Yeah.
I think it would.
At that point, like they would have to like really ham fist, and then like what do they do for like, for instance, a Blu-ray collection? Like you know they're gonna have some kind of like master collection come out with
Yeah.
like Star Wars 1 through 9 and like 50 hours of bonus content and whatnot, or
Yeah.
how would they do that?
Code, right?
And
so,
it's
so
also
from like a
like-
marketing standpoint, it wouldn't work.
The Force Awakens also already perfectly married the old to the new.
Yeah.
You know, I thought they did a really good job having, you know, Luke at the end, but then
Yeah,
like Han and
totally.
Leia there, and that's not like obviously Carrie Fisher is passed.
Mhm.
I really don't think
Yeah, they
Harrison
wouldn't-
Ford is up for doing it again.
No,
Like,
and yeah, so they wouldn't be able to do it with like all the original cast and everything again, which wouldn't be like Princess Leia would have to be in there somehow.
yeah, for sure.
But anyways, like yeah, from like a marketing strategy, it just wouldn't work. And I think right now they've kind of the movies not living up to expectations kind of have forced them to stumble ass backwards into the best thing that's ever happened to Star Wars, which is Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So, well, like no shit. Like most of my favorite Star Wars content right now is completely divorced of the mainline movies. You know, it's
Yeah.
I love me some Empire and some the original trilogy in general. I just
Yeah.
love. And then there's some like good spots in the newer movies and everything, but overall, like none of that, in my opinion, can hold a candle to the Mandalorian or the Bad Batch. I mean, have you watched the Bad Batch at all?
A Bad Batch? No, I've never even heard of that.
Oh
What
shit,
is-
dude! It's a group of stormtroopers who are like modified. They're clone troopers, but they're like modified, so they don't have like the obedience thing that made all of the regular troopers turn on the Jedi. And so the
Yeah.
series begins with Order 66 being called, and like these troopers are like, "What the fuck is going on?" Basically.
Yeah. Oh,
and
man.
so now that the Empire is a thing, they're basically carving out their own identity and like not doing Empire stuff.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's
That sounds-
really cool because you basically like they're not rebels. They're pretty much mercenaries. But you get to like see what you know the days after the Clone Wars ended were like kind of from the ground level.
Gotcha.
And, it's animated in the same style as the Clone Wars series.
Oh, cool.
But
Okay.
it's way more mature, I feel like, and not
Gotcha.
like in a gritty like everyone's a badass sort of way. It just deals with a more mature theme. Like these are clones, they're nobodies, and they're expendable, and they have nothing to lose. So you know, it's just
Yeah, so people in that situation, what are they going to do? And
right.
things probably get real, I imagine.
Yeah, no, check out the Bad Batch. It's really good. I'm not all the way through the first season yet. Oh, and I think they're not all
I'm
the way
definitely
through.
wasting, you know,
They're
our
doing
Disney
weekly
Plus right
episodes.
now. There's a lot I need to catch up on there, and they're pretty good. Like you say, you have Netflix, and that's like kind of your biggest thing right now. And Netflix is really good with like you talk about like Dolby Vision and like 4K, and they're like most of their stuff. Of course, all their originals have both of those basically.
Right.
Like they have a really good library of that, and Hulu sucks when it comes to that.
Well, so
Disney's
Go
pretty
ahead.
good.
Yeah, Disney's really good. So like originally I was pretty set on Netflix, and then when Disney Plus came out, I'm like, okay, so maybe now I do like the 1 month of Disney Plus, 1 month of Netflix, depending on what I want to watch, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But Sarah and I were like blowing through our data because of Connor.
Yeah.
With Verizon, like he likes to play games in the
iPad
car.
or something.
Yeah. So he'll access our mobile hotspots for his iPad to play like Roblox and stuff in the car. So we were like constantly going over our data limit, and we wanted to look.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we switch to unlimited plan, it's like $20 extra a month. But Verizon's doing this thing where you get the whole Disney package. You get Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN
and Hulu.
with your
Nice.
plan. So realistically, if we were going to do Disney Plus, it's really only actually $8 more a month, which isn't bad at all. So we
nice.
did that, and now as part of that, I have Hulu.
Yeah, Hulu is interesting. It's
Hulu's got some hidden gems.
It's weird. It's good for movies. You know, I feel like
Surprisingly
HBO
good for
Max might
movies,
be the only other thing. In HBO Max, I feel like their library is not great. They don't have a lot. It's more like a, hey, here's these new movies. Like, oh,
right,
sweet,
that's
okay.
how they incentivize you. But if they're gonna like take them down after 20 or 30 days, like, well, I mean, I guess I probably should have read about that before I got all excited. But you know, like they kept on advertising fucking Godzilla and Mortal Kombat, and I'm thinking both these movies look freaking awesome. So,
yeah. And I ended up watching just because it was like, oh, 3 days left. I ended up watching Godzilla versus Kong, and it was like, it was not good. No.
all right. Well, in that case, then I don't mind this. Is the big spoiler that it's Mechagodzilla?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, like I kind of figured that out from the previews. And like at this point, I was like so certain of it that it wouldn't have been a surprise anyways. But I was figuring it had to have been something like that.
Yeah, base. And it was like,
do they do the same thing as in the first two fucking movies, where like they get really close to a big fight and then they just cut the camera?
I did. Oh, is that what they did? I never watched those movies.
That's what
You're talking about
pissed
the
me
new
off.
ones, right?
There
was the Bryan Cranston one.
Yeah, Bryan
the
Cranston dying off camera for some reason.
Yeah.
And then the second one was a little bit better because they had Ghidorah and Rodan, which are two of the best monsters. But even then, like some of like until the very end, like the fights just they kept on like building up to these epic fights, and then the fights themselves last for like 20 seconds.
Oh,
like,
wow.
why?
No, there was definitely some fighting between like Kong and Godzilla twice. There was definitely two big scenes. Like there was one kind of in the middle of the movie and one near the end of the movie.
Okay.
So you get your fix with that. Like I think they did pretty good with that.
Like,
but it was
honestly,
also a
that's
very
all I want to
predictable
see
movie.
from like. We have the technology to make kaiju movies really come alive,
Yeah.
but like, I don't know, like we've got such weird sensibilities with 21st century movies that I don't feel like we're capitalizing on it enough. Like all I really want is I don't care about the human parts. I just want to see two big ass monsters tear up New York. Like, is that wrong?
Yeah, I get you. It's also just like I think people are kind of a lot of people are beyond monster movies apparently, or they think they're like they're lowbrow or something. It's like, hey, this is like some classic cinema, you know, and there's a lot of cultural reasons behind it. Now the American stuff is really just about, let's see these fucking guys flatten some buildings as they fight each other. And you know what? That Transformers is a thing, Michael Bay's a thing, that's fine too. Yeah, you know, and
Dude, my
and at least
movie,
this movie did good with that.
My favorite movie is the
spectacle.
fucking Godfather, and I still love me some kaiju. Okay, something is terribly wrong.
Yeah, what is going on?
I don't know. Miles is trapped in this circle. He just can't leave. All right. Guess we're restarting last checkpoint. And we're just not going to talk to all these. This part is just meant to show off like the PS5's ray tracing and
as far as the
reflections.
lights and everything. Yeah, I kind of figured.
I think this was the tech demo that originally came out for the game.
Oh yeah. Yeah, water effects on the ground, the lights, and which
and
is
actually,
like totally
though,
makes sense.
Even in 720p, you should be able to see. Let me see if I can find like something reflective-y. Like clearly, you're not going to get HDR right now, but you should still be able to get reflections. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Well, no, not really. Maybe it's just because it's 720p, it's low res, but I mean, there is clearly light bouncing off the pavement, but I can't tell right now if that's...
I mean, I could see it. It's like very subtle. Even people's clothes, you can see it.
What's really cool is when we get Miles' new costume, the black with the red, you can like see real-time reflections off the shiny parts of his costume, and it's crazy.
Oh, nice. And that's the thing. It's
Here we
like
go.
the small reflections that
Yeah.
most people are just never going to notice. Yeah, like that. Very subtle.
Yeah.
But it's realistic.
Right, but like
And,
it adds to the whole. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's like a lot of stuff that's unconscious that you're like, why does this look so good? It's because it looks a lot more real.
Right.
And it's like you're not even noticing everything.
We've kind of come
Seeing
to
the
that
stuff-
point in graphics where, like, yeah, the polygon and pixel count is a little better, but where they really make a difference now is just like in all the minute details that just sell you that this is a living, breathing world.
Yeah. Some of the stuff, I was watching this YouTube video about like Control, the ultimate version, and the like highest settings, ray tracing, blah blah blah, on the PC, and just the things that have a reflection, because they can't discriminate. It's just they just run the program. Okay, ray tracing. So they were like going into like photo mode and moving around and zooming in on like a stapler or something and seeing like the real reflection. Like, oh, that's fucking cool.
Right.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember because ray tracing when like the 2060 and like the last gen of RTX stuff was coming out.
Yeah.
Like there was like, okay, is this going to be a gimmick? And it's like, I'm glad it isn't, because I think it really adds to. It's kind of like HDR, where it's just like this is the thing that adds. 4K is awesome, of course, but you know, it's
because I mean, like when you look back
really
at like 1996 and like we were starting to get 3D games, right? Like those were the building blocks that all future consoles would follow. Like it's all still 3D, but the polygon count is better, the textures are better, the cameras are better. And so, like, in the same way, now we're kind of seeing a similar renaissance with lighting and, like, screen space reflection. And basically, like, 3D is so good that we're working on the details, you know?
Yeah.
And so, like, the next generation of consoles that come out, they're going to look very similar to this, but, like, you're going to be seeing, like, 4K 120 FPS reflections, which is just going to be even crazier, because then you get more realistic movement and like more consistent ambiance, right? Yeah.
And I guess like we've had mocap and stuff for a while, but to actually translate that to something.
Oh yeah, there was a big thing too. Remember when like LA Noire came out and it's like, this is the most advanced like facial mocap ever, and it was like mind blowing. But you know,
that was like PS2 era, yeah.
That was PS3, but it kind of looked.
Wait, was it PS3?
Yeah, it was PS3. But it kind of looked like they took just like regular old boring character models and like transplanted these like creepy like moving faces onto them. But now, like in this game, you just saw Spider-Man's mom, and she was like yelling at people, and it looked like a real human emotion because you know, like that's just the industry standard now. Like most AAA games do mocap for the faces of their main cast. And so, like, just in regular games that aren't, like, built around that is... Like L.A. Noire, that was, like, their central gimmick. It's like the faces were so realistic that you have to be a detective and read their faces, right? Which is kind of dumb.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a good game, but
I mean,
that was just kind of dumb.
They didn't have to like do that. Like it was kind of like Fable. It's like, hey, there's a lot of choice and stuff in this game for the time. They didn't have to say like, oh, a fucking walnut will drop off a tree and grow new walnut trees. Like, that's not true.
Yeah, no. And even if it were true, like, why? Like, what does that actually add to the game overall?
Yeah.
But no, with this, like, it's just a part of the game. They don't talk about it, but it completely adds to the way that the characters interact in cutscenes. Like, it looks damn good.
Yeah. We're definitely never going back when it comes to these types of games. Like, it's all the teraflops and power is about imitating real life for most of them. You know, and even in fantasy games and stuff, like water reflections and stuff like that, you're going to try to imitate what we are used to seeing. You know, when even in the PS2 days, you'd have motion capture and stuff, but it was more about opacity and particle effects and stuff like that, like mimicking, you know, the look of something, and sometimes using trickery to make it look like good, but not necessarily realistic.
Right. This motherfucker's just been hanging out here this whole time. There we go. Finisher ready as I kill the last one.
I forgot that was like a whole thing. Remember when like we would just like push people off the buildings? It's like they're dead. You're killing them.
Right.
But if you follow them like on the ground, they would land in a little web,
Right.
and it's like, wow,
It's kind of cool.
That's,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
at home, but I can come to the hospital.
No, stay where it's safe.
But you're
Staying
hurt.
where it's safe, Ma.
What if something happens to you while I'm
Yeah,
not
okay.
there?
The only thing though, like, I kind of wish that like this game portrayed like a more realistic mother-teenager relationship. Yeah, Ma. Okay, Ma. I'll call you when I get home, Ma. Thank you, Ma. I'm fine, Ma.
Okay, this is the stupidest thing ever, but that's the first time I've ever in my life seen Miho written out. I
Really?
never knew it was spelled that way.
Mijo. Mijo.
Mihijo.
Mijo.
But it's like that, I don't know Spanish like whatsoever, but that makes sense that it's like my son, or yeah, that it's just a contraction of some kind.
Sorry, I just love that that's like a persistent thing on this show. Like, I'm constantly referencing your Hispanic heritage, and you don't know a lick of Spanish.
And I don't know, yeah.
I probably
don't
know more
shit,
Spanish
man.
than you do just because of my Italian.
Probably, yeah.
Which I don't know jack shit, really. Like, I know a couple of swear words in food from my grandmother, but that's
I was literally about to say that's what I know in Spanish.
Yeah.
There's the food and the
it's
fun
it's
stuff.
amazing what the human brain retains from childhood, isn't it?
Yeah.
I always remember the words we weren't supposed to say. But you know,
Yeah,
the
I
kind
can
of
call you a
funny
chicken
thing
fucker.
is, like, yeah, right. Ich habe eine Katze in mein Hosenhundbumser. I have a cat in my pants, motherfucker. But no, so like with Connor, the way that I'm approaching profanity, because like we live in a college town, and like we can't go out to lunch without hearing someone dropping like 20 F-bombs, you know?
Yeah.
And like, you know, you've met me, right? You know how I speak.
Yeah.
So the way that I'm approaching it with him is like, you're gonna hear these words. They're like language itself, like the words. I haven't like talked to him about it this way yet, but I'm like, there's some words that it's only okay to say around mom and dad, and there's some words that really it's just not polite or kind. So don't say them at school. Basically,
Yeah.
is kind of the way that I'm teaching him. Like not so much like these words are inherently evil and therefore they're forbidden, because that's just going to make him want to say them. I'm like explaining to him the concept of language and why we speak certain ways in front of certain people.
Yeah.
And so as a result, like when he's home with me, he'll like be playing a game. He'll be like, "Ah, crap, that sucks," you know. Which like at his age, if I had said that, like I probably would have gotten grounded. But like I'm like, okay, so he's comfortable enough to talk freely around me. But I've never heard a report from his teacher about him saying this stuff. So like clearly he knows where that kind of talk is appropriate and where it is not.
Yeah, he's not slipping up or anything.
So, in other words, he's, like, smarter and more mature than I was at that age. Because, like, what I would do is I would, like, clean up my language in front of Dad, and then when I was at school, I would let the F-bombs fly. And then I would get in trouble for it. And then it would get back home to Dad, and then I would get in trouble at home, so...
Oh, that's true.
Right?
Yeah, very... It's also different parenting styles.
Like
you know, it's...
Our good friend Brian and I, in the 4th grade, we got into an argument, and so I called him a dickhead, and I got like so much detention. I got like a huge letter sent home and everything. And
Oh my god.
Like, oh, where did you even learn? So we had to go through that whole conversation. Whereas,
Oh no.
yeah,
It's and now I'm sure your dad loved that.
yeah, right.
Made me look like a
clearly,
jackass.
And you know, that's just how parenting worked in the 90s. Like, oh, these words
yeah.
are forbidden, right? And
Yeah.
but like as a result, like did that have any of the desired effect? No, because I have like an obscene potty mouth, and like I fully acknowledge that. But at the same time, like it took me until like college to realize that, you know, this language is an expression of something, and like in the right context, it conveys like who I am as a person and like kind of the way that I feel comfortable speaking around people that I'm familiar with, right?
Severity of something.
Yeah,
or sometimes
exactly,
it just adds
right?
some color.
Right.
Sometimes
exactly.
I just
Like-
want to...
like profanity in and of itself isn't necessarily like, and you know, I have a certain religious standpoint on this too, because like I'm far more like averse to like actually, for instance, taking the Lord's name in vain, as opposed to just dropping the word fuck. Like, because that in and of itself doesn't say anything except for frustration, right? And so, or like severe frustration if like my subtitles were on. So yeah, again, like I think it's just the way that you teach kids about this sort of stuff. They understand contextually what is appropriate, as opposed to, I'm not supposed to say these words, but as soon as mom and dad's backs are turned, I'm totally going to say these words, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I need something they can cross.
This was
This is a weird
the
conversation.
demo. This is the demo, I think, for the PS5, like when they first showed this game off, basically.
Yes, it started at the
the
parade
teaser.
and it ended here. Except he was in his like fancy costume in the demo.
Yeah.
But you know, this kind of crap here, it's really like, so like the PS4 and the PS3 had these big set pieces, but it's kind of cool to see on the PS5 like how much more elaborate they can get.
Yeah.
Like these are huge. Like in the regular game, this is just a bridge. It's a stationary object that you can't really interact with, and it's firmly in place. But they took that same structure and they made it completely collapsible for this scene, and that's just sick. And like you come back to it later, and it's still just in rubble. But yeah, a little parenting 101 there from Chris.
Hey, I'm cool with that style.
Now, I was gonna say, I
just
guess
like
I'll
this
see in
was-
20 years if it like actually is a good thing, but I mean, overall, Connor's
Alright.
a much better kid than I was, so I must be something
Everyone's
right that we're doing, or
Yeah,
maybe it's all just
something
Sarah
you
and
guys
I'm
are doing
holding him
right.
back.
Or maybe Connor would thrive in a hole. Like.
Yeah, I know. I was actually
Maybe
gonna
he's just
say
a good
like
kid.
I'm pretty sure like part of it is he's just a special person. Like he's just a good kid.
He saved us.
Hey, leave him alone.
I'm recording this.
Put that phone away now.
Like, cause I had some drama as a kid, like with my parents' divorce, but overall I had two really good parents, and I was still just a little hellion. So
Yeah. Sometimes that's how it's gonna be. Kids
Yep.
are gonna test limits.
Yep.
And I feel like even no matter what, if you're having good conversations with kids and stuff, then snap.
Right, like, and within like by the time he hits high school, I'm also gonna have to figure out how to talk to him about drugs and sex at some point. So,
Yeah.
but so far, at the very least, just being like upfront with him and like frank seems to be working, because he knows that I respect him to process this information instead of just saying, no, this is bad, right?
Yeah.
Like-
Which is like,
So that'll probably
I
be the
agree
same
with that.
approach that I take. I'm going to lay it out for him like, you know, I know these things are going to be like temptations for you, but here's like emotionally why they might not be good ideas yet, and like physically and like, you know, just other stuff. So like I will make him aware of the consequences, but trust his maturity as a human being to you know process and like talk to me about these
Weigh
things
the
instead of just
Well,
saying,
that's the important
no, they're
thing.
off limits and we're never going to discuss it.
either talk to you, or if something's already happened, if there's like some actual trouble like to come to you instead of hide it. 'cause
Yeah,
you
and
would want
like
to know.
make it get 10 times worse before I find out. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
Right.
that he's actually comfortable. Like, oh, maybe Dad's gonna be pissed, or
Right.
"Ugh, I don't want to tell him,
fortunately,
but
though, like,
not
I
like
was-
he can't.
So my ass got covered by the fact that in high school I was super socially awkward, so I was never offered drugs or sex. So, like, so that just never came up, and Dad assumed he had raised a good boy. Oh God,
For some reason, Red Foreman is coming to mind.
dumbass.
where he's just
My,
like,
my dad definitely
"Shut up,
had
boy."
my dad definitely had a little bit of that personality going on, but like at the same time, like it was never in question. Like I never doubted that Dad liked me, sort of thing. You know, like
Oh, yeah.
he wasn't like so strict or so abrasive that I was like, wow, he's just an asshole. No, that was just his style.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah, it
born in
definitely seemed
1950, so what do you expect?
Mom,
that
Oh, man.
definitely seemed apparent. Is
Dulce de Coco will be.
he was your friend, but he was also
Oh,
a
yeah.
parent, you know?
You don't mind.
Dude, he used to. I remember, like, when we were kids, like, you know, most parents, like, they have their kids' friends over for a sleepover and they're, like, super respectful and they're on their best behavior. No, my dad would tease you guys mercilessly.
I'll be able to fix anything.
Oh,
Do
yeah.
anything that Spider-Man does.
Which made it more fun because, you know, like,
Whenever you say Spider-Man,
again, like, I'm not necessarily, like, trying to be the cool parent or anything like that, but I'd like Connor to be comfortable having his friends over and around me instead of feeling like he has to hide stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, that would suck.
You know?
I think I would just feel dejected, like, oh my god, he had like.
So this is the costume design montage. They did like such a.
I like this. Yeah.
This could actually be a movie, you know.
Yeah.
Like, and not in a bad way. Like, you know, sometimes when video games like try too hard to nail the cinematic look, it falls flat because you're keenly aware that there's a difference between games and movies. But this, like, the way that they do these scenes, they would be perfectly acceptable as a CG film. But
for sure.
But they don't overstay their welcome and they supplement the gameplay. So like you really feel like you're playing a like Marvel Cinematic Universe experience.
Yeah, I was just about to say, and I'm acutely aware that there wasn't like a montage scene like this in the first game.
No.
You know, and I guess it was less origin story.
Right, because it wasn't an origin story, yeah. I mean, there was the cool part where Doc Ock reconfigured his suit and everything. And, like, pretended not to know who he was and whatnot.
And it just puts you right. That was cool.
Yeah, that really,
and it just
like,
throws you
helped.
right in. See, a movie cannot do that.
No,
Like,
because they don't have the time to do that.
yeah, that's an amazing little thing to be like, here's your montage that, like you said, supplements the game. Okay, go back to being Spider-Man.
Right. So, like,
You know, that's you.
So, like, what that really did well was that it made, like, the inevitable fight with Octavius, like, that much more emotional because it's not like the game is telling you that once upon a time they were friends. No, like, you spend, like, the first half of the game trusting Otto and, like, he's your mentor and he's covering for you and he's giving you second chances. And he's like getting screwed by Osborn, so you freaking hate Osborn. And then but he's like gone too far, right? And you have to stop him. And he
that
kills
was heavy.
And like it's not just like I want to redeem you. Like no, he fucking kills your aunt, and holy shit, like it is heartbreaking by the time that ending rolls around. Because,
and it's also just like
because game pacing is so different from movie pacing.
It wasn't like, and you think like, I'm thinking of like the Sam Raimi movies and stuff, and usually it would be something like, oh, he figures out he's Spider-Man, but it's kind of like he always knew ever since he saw you fixing the costume.
Right.
He pretty much put two and two together.
He's not stupid. He played stupid, but you were meant to see through it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're his costume designer. I got you.
The fact that he was going after Spider-Man so hard, you know, as he was becoming more Doc Ock, made that so much more sad. Like, oh,
right, because he knew exactly who it was, and like he just wasn't seeing Peter as a friend anymore. Like he was so paranoid that everyone was his enemy.
Yeah, that was heavy. That was definitely
like way heavier than like I love this renaissance of superhero games, and it's all because of the Arkham games, really. But like
that was for sure.
But like these two games are better. Like I love the Arkham games a lot. These are better, just because they came later and they built off of what Arkham accomplished.
I feel like developers, like these small teams back in the day of NES and SNES, with licenses, they took pride in being like, oh, what can I do with this license? Like the Star Wars games or even like the Batman games on the Super Nintendo, like Batman Returns and Forever. Like you could see that there was detail put into like the character designs and everything. And then something happened around the PlayStation, you know, N64
where they just became
era.
like cash grabs. Like we don't have to try on the game because the franchise is gonna make the money for us.
Yeah, and you think about, I'm not saying like, oh my god, Aladdin and and Lion King aged so well. They're great games, but they weren't bad games. They were fun for the time.
Yeah.
You know, and
Totally.
some games were like the Toy Story game, I think, was like garbage. But most of them
Yeah.
actually looked good and had some good assets.
but,
you know, they were like...
There's a line there, too, because there's some franchises that just really shouldn't be video games. Like, do we need Shrek, the fucking video game?
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Oh, why won't you die?
But you're right. Arkham was the
Ooh.
first time for a licensed game. It was just like, oh, this is
Yeah.
actually good. This is actually great.
Right, like not just good for a licensed game. Like you said, on the SNES era, there were some good like side-scrolling beat-em-ups starring Batman, right? But
Yeah.
like they weren't thought of in the same vein as a Super Mario World or a Chrono Trigger, right?
no.
Like they were good, fun rental games, but back when rental games were a concept.
Were a
Like
thing,
it's a game that you wouldn't buy because you can play it in a weekend and get all that you need to get out of it, right? But
Yeah.
nowadays it's like these same franchises, they can be some of the best games of the generation. Instead of just like one weekend rentals.
I mean, I feel like Spider-Man is still like the fastest selling. Well, now there's like Last of Us 2 and stuff, but it's definitely in the top like 5 of fastest selling PS4 games.
Well, yeah, and it's based like the PS5. Thankfully, Resident Evil just came out, but the PS5 is still riding on it pretty hard.
Yeah.
I mean, like
Oh, that's right,
the
Resident
new
Evil Village.
console generation. I know consoles always take about a year or year and a half before they really pick up with consistent, like jaw-dropping new titles. But
Yeah.
like at the same time, like definitely right now the PS5, I have this game, I have Demon's Souls, and I'll be picking up Intergrade, which is really just a shinier PS4 game, and Resident Evil 8, which is cross generation. So
Yeah. Which a lot of these. What was
Granted-
it? I think it was the announcement today about God of War 2.
yeah, oh yeah, they delayed it.
It's gonna. They delayed it and they revealed it's gonna be cross-gen.
Oh really?
Which,
Interesting.
Yeah. Which I felt immediately sad about.
Yeah, kind of holding it back a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, when it comes to like the load times and stuff, like there's going to be some weirdness with the world being disconnected again, which was funny because the God of War original, I shouldn't say original, but the PS4 version, it does not feel disconnected. Like you're going
No.
from one space to another space. They did a good job hiding load times.
Yeah.
But think about what you can do if you didn't have to do that, you know?
Right.
Like, just so much more opens up when it's just like, we're making this just for the PS5, just for the SSD.
So side note,
from
real
the
quick,
outset.
look at his costume. You
Yeah.
see what I'm talking about? Isn't that
Oh,
crazy?
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like that, you can. There's that shelf,
The light sword, yeah.
and like there it is on his shoulder. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
pretty,
you're right,
That's pretty
like-
fucking cool.
I'm kind of like wondering like how long we're gonna have to wait because the PS5 and the new Xbox are so commercially unavailable. Like I
Yeah.
feel like we're having to wait longer than average for these new like next gen exclusives to start picking up. Like I like the option and flexibility, and certainly the games themselves don't look bad. But I would love to see what a game that is not possible on the PS4 but is possible on the PS5 looks like.
Yeah.
Like for the PS4, that was really The Witcher 3 before we really got that.
The Ratchet and Clank, and I was kind of surprised by this, is PS5 exclusive.
It is, yeah.
And that's coming out pretty. You can also see just from the gameplay, the whole going from one dimension to the next dimension immediately.
Yeah. So-
It's just like there's no way they could do this on the PS4.
Exactly.
Like,
So like the big thing there isn't actually the graphics, though it looks graphically amazing. It's more the seamless transition from one environment to another on the fly.
yeah.
Like literally the PS4 could not do that because it would have to pause and take 15 to 20 seconds to load.
I'm looking forward to that for like once SSDs are like just the norm for even like all systems for oh, by the way, this was something I was thinking that his friend is part of that organization.
Oh yeah,
but-
we haven't been talking about the game again, but yeah, you just saw that his best friend is the Tinkerer.
Da-da-da.
Yeah, dun dun dun. I played. This is my third playthrough of this game, so nothing is like I'm basically on.
Oh man, he has some
right
swagger.
Now.
He's just like.
Yeah, no, I love that.
What's it say? Can you imagine like a Metroid Prime game?
Oh, dude,
running on an SSD right from the beginning, like being in like this huge expanse, and you like shoot a door open from like a fourth of a mile away,
right?
And then like all the enemies spill out, and you just take them out from there as like a strategy, like because it can load what's in that room.
Dude, do you think,
like,
side note, do you think Nintendo's actually gonna still fucking do Metroid Prime 4, or should we just give up on that ever happening?
I do. I mean, they announced it, and given that was a while ago and like before a complete overhaul by Retro.
It's almost like a parody of itself, though, right now. Literally, Nintendo has
like
come on camera. Yeah, but like, they're so proud of themselves, and all they have shown us is the fucking number 4. Like, they can't really think that people want to see that, right? Like, is my like sense of childhood wonder just destroyed, or are they really that detached from their fan base?
No, I think what it is they were thinking when they showed that teaser that they were going to have more to show us, and they were like,
but they showed it a second time. They showed it a second.
When?
It was on a Nintendo Direct, and it was literally just the same thing to remind us that it was still a thing that was being worked on by like one person in someone's basement.
That's kind of like before Remake was announced, when they were kind of doing a fake out, and it was like, oh, FF7 for the PS4.
Yeah, like,
and
what's
it's
the
just
point
like,
of that?
what?
Like, why show it if you have nothing to show? You know?
Yeah. It's
and like
that's unfortunate. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, like it was like maybe a year ago even. Like they just...
it's just like keep quiet about it, you know. Sure. And when you have something to show us, then show us. But
I don't know why. Well, I do know why developers do that. Like they want to get people excited about something so that they move more units. But like the prospect of waiting 6 years for a single video game doesn't exactly, whet my appetite. It's just
and I doubt we're gonna hear anything about Prime 4 this E3. They announced their what did they say, like 40?
I think it's in development hell.
I would love if Bayonetta 3 got announced and we saw some gameplay, and I'm excited for No More Heroes 3. But that's just my excitement. I know that's not going to be like a game that breaks the world or anything open.
Fucking Dragon Quest is at the top of my charts right now.
As far that's right, they announced 12, didn't they?
They announced 12 with nothing to show, unfortunately. But it's also Dragon Quest, and they tend to run a pretty tight ship as far as development cycles go. Like Dragon Quest 11, which I consider the most ambitious JRPG ever made, was first shown to the public and then released within 3 years, which is fantastic. Considering when they showed it, all that they were showing was like a city block. They didn't show the main character. It was just like a city block that they had developed. And it's like, this is what is hypothetically possible. And then like a year later they had gameplay, and then the year after that it was ready to go. So
nice.
But then what I'm actually even more immediately excited about than 12 is they show that 3 is getting a full remake with the Octopath Traveler engine.
Okay, I didn't know if that was true or not. I heard something in passing, and I was like, oh, I gotta Google that, and then I didn't. Yeah. So wait, like Final Fantasy 3, you said?
Not 3, Dragon Quest
3? Dragon Quest 3, okay. I hope they do that with a lot of other games.
Me too. I would... there's there's a small part of me that is holding its breath for the possibility of Chrono Trigger getting done in that same style.
Oh my god, can you imagine, dude?
I can't. Like I would absolutely I would send them double their asking price and a personalized thank you note to Hironobu Sakaguchi.
Oh yeah. I feel like it'd be like, okay, I could like literally die happy, like.
Yeah, like, I don't want it. I do not want Chrono Trigger to look like FF7 Remake. I want it to look like Octopath Traveler. I want the same exact game with, like, a new perspective on what I am familiar with and love. And maybe some new side quests or equipment or boss fights.
Like, I love what RPGs are doing, like FF15, FF7 remake, and what 16 is going to be. But when it comes to like that old feel, but updating it for modern times, I guess you could say, Octopath is like perfect how it looks.
It is.
It's amazing.
And like 7 kind of showed us that like as fun as the game was to play, like you can be getting a pretty mixed bag. Like when developers are encouraged to completely reimagine something you love, like so for instance, take FF6. For a lot of people, that's, for me, it's a better game than FF7, but for a lot of people it's kind of like the runner-up, like it's the second best Final Fantasy for a lot of folks, behind 7. But now imagine if they took that game and they did what they're doing with FF7, and like you get to, I don't know, the World of Ruin, but instead of Kefka, doing the warring triad and destroying the world, like the Kingdom Hearts Shadow Monster comes out and now's your chance to defy fate. How pissed would you be? Like how
honestly, a lot more pissed than I was about 7 remake,
exactly,
even though that pissed me off too.
Yeah, and like, or like what if you couldn't do like the river surfing Ultros introduction because it's too graphically intensive and they don't want to waste the assets on that one scene, and what if like there's no interconnected world map, you just go straight from Narsh to South Figaro and they're both set pieces and then you move on to, I mean it wouldn't feel right, like objectively, like I get that with Midgar they were able to do something kind of cool, but I'm still not quite sure how Remake Part 2 is going to work out. And to be honest, I don't think Square knows yet either. I think it's going to be a good while yet before we see Remake Part 2.
Yeah, the thing is like I can't even imagine what that game's going to look like. Obviously, we can conjecture, and any one of those conjectures could be true, or a mixture of them.
There's really only one of two options. They can do like open area set pieces that transition you from one area to another, kind of like FF12,
FF13 style.
Yeah,
and 12,
which I think would be the better of the two options, or more, or they could potentially like try to do a world map, and it just wouldn't be very good.
The thing is, it's like FF.
But either way,
Zero,
it's not going to be the same scale of the original because it can't be. Like you can't have a planet with the level of detail that we saw in Remake Part 1.
No, and that's the thing. It's like Type 0 had a world map, but it was also like from the beginning of the game, that's how it was.
Yeah, and it was a shitty world
going
map.
from remake to Remake 2, if they did something like that, they would either have to build the most ambitious game of all time with a world map, which obviously they're not going to do, and charge $100 for it. Like,
I just mentioned that Dragon Quest.
Saying.
Yeah, I just mentioned that Dragon Quest 11 was the most ambitious JRPG of last generation, because they were the exception to the norm. They had like those set pieces, but then they found a way to zoom out on the world when you got a vehicle, and it didn't look shitty. Like they just did it. Like I still don't know how. I think it was because it was
magic.
I think it's because it was a more cartoony style. So like it looked more natural when you zoomed out. But 7 Remake, like they're clearly going for a more realistic vibe, so I just don't think it's gonna be the same. I think not saying it's impossible. I just don't see how it'll work.
They're gonna have to do a 12 style where it's almost like you do these different places and then it's inferred that you traveled a whole lot and then got to this next place.
That's also FF10 style, but 12 did it better.
Yes, 12 did it the best.
Yes.
Like 12, I think they learned a lot from 11. And
oh yeah,
I was just reading an article the other day about 11 still running and how different it is, but people like it because the experience was so it's like so different. It's more
little
complicated.
Fucking engine that could, yeah.
Yeah,
Max,
and how.
Go ahead.
Oh, what's up?
No, you first.
Like how people kind of banded together because you've told me this, how fucking unfair the game was when it first came.
God,
like they just didn't care about you. They just wanted what's in your wallet.
Right. Yeah, I played FF11 for a while.
I remember
10 to 12 years ago, and I played enough of it to see overall what there was to see in the world, but I was so far behind that I never got to do like raids or anything like that.
Yeah,
and so I was behind 10 years ago. But from what I understand, like that game is the little engine that could. Like they're still updating it. They're actually like incentivizing newcomers still, even though 14 is out and it's objectively a better game.
I think 14 is what changed 11 the most, which makes sense.
Because,
but it's also interesting to think about.
Like most companies would say, you can't have two MMOs out at the same time.
One's going to compete with the other.
Exactly, but
you just have to make them different experiences.
Exactly,
like much different.
Yeah, and that's what they opted to do. Max, next time on Play the Hits, we're going to enter this hole. We're just gonna slowly insert ourselves.
No, I can't do it. No. Okay, no, fuck it. Come on, Miles. Gotta do this.
Oh man. Okay, so say your last bit here, because this is an interesting conversation.
I was just gonna say, like 11, they're definitely trying to cater more to like the hardcore, I guess, a little bit, but people who are just nostalgic for the old stuff.
Yeah. 14
has that, but I think 11 plays more like the older games.
Yes.
There's just a lot to it. Oh.
Absolutely. I do remember, like, the beginning of the game was the most mind-numbingly boring thing. Because you're literally just out there fucking hacking at goblins and missing every other strike. 14 at the very least has an engaging combat system from the moment you pick it up. So
yeah, 14's the superior, like, objectively, I think there's no question.
Right, but I think a lot of, like, MMO diehards would see that and be like, oh, this is a plebe MMO, you know.
Yeah,
whatever. It's a fun fucking game.
Like, enjoy yourself.
Exactly. You troglodyte. All right, Max. Next time we're gonna see what's at the bottom of this hole. Enjoy Miles' sweet ass.
I'll see you later.
See you then.